Happy Wednesday, and here's some iced coffee for the working man. Tired, tired. And these Swordtember entries keep on coming. Actually, I'm thanks to yesterday's stream, I'm caught up. I'm caught up where I need to be for today. Of course, there's tomorrow, the next day, the day after that, and the weekend, which is rough because usually I don't get a chance to work on much gaming stuff on the weekend. So that always causes a bit of a lag is the right word, or I guess backup when it hits Monday. This weekend in particular, which I guess I should mention, maybe have I mentioned this before? Have I mentioned it recently? I'm going to ShireCon in case anybody in the I was going to say tri-state area, but which states are the tri-states to you might be very different. It's ShireCon is a very small con, takes place in, I think it's Connecticut. And why I say I think it's because they moved it. Last year it was definitely in Connecticut. This year they moved it a couple towns or a town or two over. But the part of Connecticut where the con was last year is essentially right almost on the border between Massachusetts, New York, and Connecticut. So you could have moved it. They could have moved it a town over and ended up in Massachusetts. I'm not sure, but it's in that neck of the woods, which is to say kind of your Hudson Valley-ish, Berkshires-ish area of the Northeast. It's a small convention. This year it's going to be about a day and a half. So they historically, and I've only been to one before. Historically, they ran the cons just on one day, which was Saturday, and they found that people would come and show up on the Friday nights and sort of hang out and play impromptu games. So this year, they've decided to make Friday afternoon, evening an official day of the con as opposed to an unofficial day of the con. So I will be there I'll be there both days. I'll be there Friday in the afternoon, whenever it opens up, assuming I get it. I'm pretty sure I should be able to, because I have to drive from the city up there. I'm pretty sure I should be there on time to get there. I'm planning to leave early in the morning, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be there. And then also on the Saturday. So, hey, some guy doing all right. So if you happen to be at ShireCon, come say hey. I'll be there. I'm not running any games. I'll be playing in some games. I forget whose games I signed up for. The con is very well. Let's see. I speaking from my experience. How should I say? It's very OSR, and a lot of OSR, a lot of DCC. Though there are some different things being run this year, but still it's a bunch of DCC, which is cool because I think I'm going to be playing a DCC game, and I haven't played in any DCC games before. I think I'm playing in a Weird West flavored DCC game, I think. So it should be fun. So that's this weekend. Oh yeah, and so I guess that means that probably if I stream on Friday, let's just say chances are not good that I'll be streaming on Friday because I'm intending to drive up in the morning. I suppose it depends what time I get up there and get settled in, whether between that and going to the con, I'll have a chance to stream, but probably wouldn't count on it. Now, I'll try to add something. Note it for the record. In case folks are looking for the stream and not finding it. But as for today, I still find myself wanting to do more. Well, I thought we were very successful yesterday. If you caught yesterday's stream, worked on some Swordtember weapons. Swordtember, if you don't know, and I did put an image finally in here. Swordtember is a month of prompts for making swords. The emphasis in the past, I think, was more on the drawing of swords, but I don't think they ever said you had to. And I'm not drawing the swords. I'm not sure what I'll do if I actually find the need to want to illustrate the swords. Maybe I'll try drawing some myself. I don't know. But essentially, you take each one of these prompts a day and you come up with a sword to match the prompt. Yesterday, we actually did pretty good. We did, how many do we do there? We did 3. Came up with a spear. And again, I am extending it from swords into weapons and into beyond. So we have stuff like we came up yesterday with a spear and this candelabra and this skull helmet. And there's a picture of the Kurgan wearing Clancy Brown modeling the skull helmet for us. And I did a little bit of polish. It's gone to, if you're a patron or a YouTube channel member, you should be able to go and see on Patreon or in the YouTube, the community tab. You should see some member only posts where I threw those threw this up, and then for because it's was it work in progress Wednesday hashtag whatever, I dropped the Candelabra free for all, so you can go check that out. It's pretty much I don't think I really added too much. What did I do for the candle? Oh no, I did. Well, I gave it a name and I gave it a bit of a backstory, and I think I added to that if you light all three, if you put candles in all three arms and light them at once, that the light will basically blind anybody. I mean permanently blind anybody who fails to save, and then the candelabra is destroyed. So you don't want to do that. Do not want to do that. Now today we've got divine. I've added some more in here. I don't know how many we're going to get to. Yesterday I feel like we started off slow and then like we sped up, but we'll see. There's no I have no requirements because I'm essentially ahead of the game. So if I can just come up with divine, I'll be set for tomorrow. If I can come up with divine and Fey, that'll be good. And if we get to the other ones, whatever. But I've been pondering divine, and divine is tough. Not generically tough. It's tough for me because I've already had several that I've done. Several of these I've done already had divine. They could have matched the divine keyword. I made something called what did I call it? And this is another one that I posted. I think it was called the brass staff. It definitely had a divinity aspect to it. That was for metallic. The one for lantern, I believe, also had a divine aspect to it. And then and then the candelabra kind of has a divine aspect to it. It's definitely filled with some sort of positive spiritual energy because it can turn undead like a cleric. So it's also got some divine aspects. So coming up with something else that's divine and not treading the same ground that I've just tread, it might be a bit of a challenge today. Some guy said, I can never remember the monthly creative challenges, but I do remember finding a website that generated magical swords based off of 3 words. I'll try to find it. Oh, that'd be awesome. Some guy. Yeah, that'd be cool just to share. That might be a really fun resource for folks. So what can we do? What kind of stuff is with divine? There's no paladins. Because I think of, so I guess these are all going to be. Frederick says we need some huge choppers for Swordtember. What was I going to say? So I always think of my system when I'm thinking of these things in my head, and I'm writing them up basically, and I'm thinking of kind of a system with the implied system. I'm always thinking generally kind of OD&D/BX in terms of the system, and not with all of like the stuff from Dragon. So. Or strategic review, just kind of like what is in those kind of vanilla things, vanilla books. So maybe for divine, and I'm just going to throw some bullet points here, maybe something kind of paladinish. Maybe it can detect evil. I don't think I've had detect evil. I've had a bunch of detection stuff. Maybe detect evil and protection from evil. Yeah, Fredericks mentions clerics. The candelabra essentially was kind of cleric-y already. In fact, in the backstory I wrote that you can check out either in the YouTube community tab or on Patreon or my forums, I also posted it. It belonged to a bishop, and I'm using the titles. So when I say that this guy's a bishop or this other person was a patriarch, that's not just a title. I'm also telling you what level they are. Frederick mentioned detect good and protection from lawful. Well, I wouldn't call that divine. That would be more infernal. And actually, I had something like that already. Number 1, was it abyssal or ghoulish? I might have used that already. Ooh, some guy found the generator. Some guy, I'm going to guess that Nightbot is not going to let you paste that link. But if you want to post it as a comment on YouTube, or if you want to shoot it to me somewhere else on social media or on my forums, something like that, I can grab it from you. Or if you want to type it so that it's kind of hides the fact that it's HTML, like that's a URL, maybe you could sneak it in there that way. Nightbot is a strict mistress. and she doesn't take kindly to links. So this is pretty simple, but I kind of like that. Maybe it's sort of kind of paladinish sort of thing. I think I'll go with detect. I think these are fine. Detect evil and protection from evil. Summon angel. I don't really. I mean, it's weird because I don't mind having demons in the game, but I'm not huge on angels. I don't know why. I should have summon angel. What's another? Is there another word for angel summon? What do they say? What do they call them in the? Oh, I'm sure it's kind of under wizards. What do they call them? I don't remember. I don't. Actually, I think that's fine. I think this is good. Celestial. Thanks, Frederick. I can't imagine that they could copyright Celestial, but I'd have to check the SRD. Waffle circlet. Let's see. I'll do ego. Or so whoops, I should do int 8 ego. Yeah, I'll give this one a low ego. Communicates for empathy. Pretty much all these are empathic. Empathic items. Powers. Effect. Evil. And then protection from evil. Let's see. Zone of neutrality. I don't know what that would mean, but that doesn't. Why would I suppose it could be. I don't really have anything neutral because I kind of feel like magic items, like most things, because I kind of concept of some of them sort of being built with purpose. I don't really feel like I don't really do a lot of neutral items. All your kind of just +1 whatevers that have nothing going on are kind of neutral. I want to do 10 feet times level of wearer lasts for 10 minutes. Recharges when circlet is exposed to the noontide sun. Let's see, and where level must be 4+. There we go. So it's got 2 powers. Magnus asks, or Magnus says, never heard of Swordtember until I started posting. Well, I'm glad to help you discover it. Is there any, or is there an RPG creativity theme for every month? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, obviously there was Dungeon 23, which is still the marathon that just keeps on going. And well, folks, if you've been doing Dungeon 23 and you're still on it, like, man, props to you, because you're got to be like feeling the finish line coming up. That is a good question. I don't know. It would be cool. I mean, there probably is. I kind of feel like there probably is. It's more like how many of them have enough adoption that they get noticed. I mean, I guess so. There's probably a couple ways to look at it. Like, this is very informal, right? It's just these prompts. I don't even know if there's someone in particular who comes up with these, or if they're done by committee, or how they're done, something, or if one person's responsible, or whatever. So they throw them out there. That's great. Dungeon 23 is kind of similar, right? People came up with all kinds of stuff, but it's not organized. So that's kind of one type. And then there are the things like the jams, gaming jams, where people create all kinds of things, usually more focused in terms of the theme or the system or some kind of mechanic. There's usually something that is tying everything together. Either they're all using a particular system or a setting or a mechanic or whatever, or they're all take place in the same place, something of that nature. I imagine between all of those, there's something running every month, at least one thing every month. But I don't know if there's like a months of the year prompts thing, but there probably is. Frederick is Bloody Tober. Is that an actual thing, Bloody Tober? Sorry that you can't stay, Frederick. See you later. I'll have to look up Bloody Tober because I'm not sure if it's just throwing me a curveball or whether that's an actual thing, because I wouldn't doubt it if it was. Magnus says their Dungeon 23 was just to finally make and run a game. Been a bit since the last session, but I have to say it happened at all. Well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, if any of these prompts, any of these things inspired anyone to do anything, I think that's a success. Anything more than they were going to do already. Or if they inspire you to do something new or just finish something or get something going, that's awesome. So it's good to hear you got your game in. I mean, look, my home game's been on hiatus all summer. So in fact, we're trying to schedule our first game. It's been since, gosh, I don't even know, the end of, I don't know, like June or maybe even before June, because there was a first one of the players' families, they're welcoming a new child, and then it was sort of summer and vacation. So between all that, like we haven't played since a while. So you know, it happens. It happens. I guess the nice thing is that the players, you know, pinged me on their own accord to say, hey, you know, things are looking back to normal, so let's start playing again, which makes me feel good, which means that they want to play because they're coming back. You know, you what is it that you let the bird go, you let them go, and if they come back, they must like it. So they're coming back, which is good. Oh yeah, that'll be my next stream. RPG theme for every month. I was though, you know what, Magnus, that's not too far from the reality, because I was thinking about doing something like Swordtember, but for hexes, and I was thinking like, what month has a good thing that kind of has hex in it? And I was thinking like Hexember for like December. So maybe I'll launch Hexember. I mean, probably someone's done this already. I don't know what other month might work, but I wanted, it'd be nice to do one, you know, that one's coming up in the future. So right around kind of Christmas season, maybe we'll have Hexember and we could do Hexember stuff. That might be fun. But yeah, it would be 12 months, 12 things. So yeah, swords, you could do, you know, really kind of specific swords, armor, equipment. Let's see, swords, armor, equipment, people, places. That's 5. Maybe like adventures, generic stuff. I don't know. People play like monsters. Hexember rolls off the tongue nicely. Good. I will. I'll note that down. I'll make a note right here so I don't forget it, because that will be something. I've done that before. I've come up with a name that I'm like, oh, this is badass. I should, and I forget it. I'm like, what was it? Hexember coming soon. There we go. I'll even. Good. Okay. So we have this divine thing, which I'm making a circlet. I had this kind of idea of a circlet in my brain before. I actually had another idea, which was that there'd be some spirit, and maybe there still will be, that was saved from damnation by being pulled into the circlet and gives these effects. Original wares. Oops. Soul was saved from damnation. Saved from I don't know, damnation is not quite the word I want, but I'll put it in there anyway for right now. Instead was pulled into the circlet's central stone. I'll write more about that, but I did want to get there. Magical armor April, magical May, monstrous March. Yeah, you got it going, Magnus. You should start setting the groundwork. Get those all trademarked, and you could be minting, if not money, then at least cred on the rough streets of tabletop gaming social media by getting all those. Yeah, spells would be another one. Like maybe, well, I was going to say we could have Spelltember, but we've got Swordtember. I would probably, because we need 12, I would probably say splitting up items, because we have swords by itself. So then maybe armor. I had Swordtember because I feel like we should do more than just swords, but maybe arms and armor. And then spells and items. Yeah, maybe we could. Maybe there's a way. Okay, so now we got that one good. So we got divine. Oh, the other things have been kind of fun, or not fun, interesting. Maybe means nothing. Oh, forced march. Oh, that's a good one too. Or a mega dungeon crawl. I like forced march for a hex crawl, some kind of hex crawl challenge. That's good. That is good. So I mentioned before that I've been having fun creating a what's the word I'm looking for? An implied setting for these, or not even implied, because in I've been writing these backstories for the items, and I've been kind of linking them together. And so the main things that are happening when all these items were last in play, it's kind of like, so what's happening is that we have all these items. I guess right now, what is this? 13. Today was 13, right? Because we're September 13th, and so I have 13 items, and there's a couple of outliers, and I'll probably tweak those to bring them more into the fold. But essentially, all these items and their wares are converging in this, which would be either a campaign or probably the backstory around some campaign area. This War of the Necromancer. This is the central event. So if you think about it, I'm thinking about it in terms of something that happened in the past of whatever campaign setting you're in. So imagine if you're to put it in sort of Middle Earth terminology, you're in the Third Age and you're looking back at the last war of elves and men, whatever the last alliance kind of situation. It's in the past, but it's sort of this doesn't feel as, this does not, the events that I'm looking at, the War of the Necromancer, it just, the scope of it doesn't seem like it's huge. It doesn't feel world threatening. It doesn't have to be, and I don't think I'm not really trying that. I'm not even saying that like I should make it world threatening. It's just that'll be one difference. Is my event feels more localized, right? The gods aren't really coming down specific. There was a demon in play, and there is definitely some divine and infernal influences going on, but it's not quite as I guess even I was going to say globe spanning, but I guess even the events of Lord of the Rings aren't, though they have effect over the world, aren't really globe spanning either. We're looking at this portion of Middle Earth where all this stuff is taking place. But one of the things that's been kind of interesting, and I'm wondering if it ends up being too much, maybe not necessarily because one of my ideas is at the end of all this thing to kind of lay out all the weapons and to kind of place them in where they would be or where they were last seen in the world as it is, in this setting as it is, and kind of think about how they put in. Is that you end up with a lot of them. I'm going to have at the end of this, so they won't all be swords, is 31 or 30, whatever, how many days are in September? 30, 31, how many is it? 30 pieces of magical equipment of some sort or another that are all going to be floating around the landscape. And if I put, if you put one in every hex, that's 30 hexes of things. And I don't know if that's too much or not, because certainly in that kind of situation, I wouldn't have tons of generic ones on top of those. But the other thing is some of these are pretty darn strong if you get a hold of them, though, since they have those, we're using those egos. We're using egos and intelligence from the magic, from the magic sword rules from monsters and treasure. It's not like you just get this thing and it's super strong and you just do what you want. They've all got things, and what I'll probably have to do is in the final form, I'll have to get a little bit more into what these things are after. So you really want to align or be aligned with the item that you're using or items, because otherwise you can be in trouble. Hey, Brian Smith, how are you? For example, the skull over here, there's a possibility that you're going to crit miss with something, and not even just the bite attack, but just any weapon, and it's going to turn you into a cave bear. and you're down to animal intelligence, and it might even take over. Maybe in the final form, I'll talk about that. And it might, who knows what it's going to do. And in fact, that does not, or that enters into the backstory. Because in the backstory I created for this guy, the skull actually, in like the last battle the guy was in, he lost control and actually went rampaging around his own people, his own forces, and then ran away. And that was the last he was seen. So this is certainly an item that could go bad. The candelabra, don't get greedy and light light 3 candles at once. Otherwise, could go bad. Ryan says, one does not simply wield the candelabra. This is true. The candelabrum, you got to respect the candelabrum. But it's been interesting thinking about, well, how many of these items for a given part of a setting is too much. But on the other hand, I was also thinking about it. So the other part is that all these different main players in this conflict from the past are having something. Each one of them has their own kind of marquee item that they got from somewhere. So this guy is one of the bad guys. And I put the Kurgan here as a lieutenant of the bad guy, the necromancer. So then that's kind of his shtick. I put this, and I did another thing where I kind of connected these two together in a way, because in the storyline, Bishop Schilling, who had the candelabrum, was killed by the Kurgan over here. And the Kurgan took the candelabrum, and that's when it vanished. He took it. He has since, and then his last parts was he was turned into a cave bear and ran away. Who knows if he's still around or not. I haven't figured out how long, at least in my head canon for the setting. I haven't figured out, well, how long before wherever we are now is this, or are these events? That's another thing I haven't figured out. So I don't know if it makes sense that, well, would this guy still be alive? How long do cave bears live? It's a magic cave bear though, so maybe he's still a cave bear. I don't know. Has he? How many saves by spell should I put in something? If you miss 3 consecutive saving throws versus spells, you're just a cave bear permanently. I think I might have done that. I don't know, but we don't know. So the one hand, I'm wondering, is this too much? On the other hand, I'm thinking, well, all these guys are getting their own item, which I think is kind of cool, and to me, it kind of mirrors what it would be like if the party were there, assuming this takes place before whatever events in the campaign would be. Because by the end of the campaign, when you're up against the kind of final battles, everybody will be kind of kitted up with some stuff. Brian asks, is the average lifespan of a cave bear similar granularity to the airspeed of an African swallow? Probably. I don't need to know precisely in like minutes, but it's more, in my head. And I haven't really thought about it, but in my head, in terms of how I might fit this into my stuff, who knows what other people will do. How long ago did this happen? Is it a generation or two ago? In which case, there's a good probability, especially given that these are all magical effects. So the cave bear is not exactly just a natural cave bear. That's the cave bear still rooting around somewhere, or is it hundreds of years? In which case, maybe you think, well, maybe you're going to find the skeleton. Where you would find this item would be on the skeleton of a man or something like that. I haven't figured out in my head, but it doesn't really matter. I need a Fey item now. I need a Fey item now. And I'm not sure what's a good Fey item. Did I do a bow yet? I don't think I've done any bows. Is that too? I did a cloak already, and I want to do like a cloak of elven kind of thing. What can I do that's kind of bow-ish, but maybe not? I have enjoyed kind of, I don't say leaving all, but sort of zigging a little bit on some of the what's the word I'm thinking of? Tropes, I guess. How about an umbrella? Is it Mary Poppins? Has Mary Poppins entered the game? Do I want an umbrella? I don't know about an umbrella. A different kind of game, I think an umbrella would work. I'm not sure it's for me. What kind of Fae stuff might there be? I'm trying to think about. Oh, what kind of Fae stuff could we have? Mary Poppins is certainly a Fae. Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I started reading a little bit of the Mary Poppins book. I kind of had this in mind to do with my daughter, but we kind of got away from it. Oh, I mean, it didn't I guess it just didn't. We didn't. It did not take. A giant pot, a net. A net is interesting, but what would one be doing with that net? What would the net be? What would the net be for? A net funicello, a net bedding. A net. Oh. Will-o-wisps, catching ghosts, catching fairies. Well, I mean, Fae are fairies. They need to catch fairies. Will-o-wisp is interesting. Let's do some. I'm going to use. I don't love Bing, but I'm going to use. Can we Bing up? How do we get to the? All right. What is the? Let's see. What are we talking? Will-o-wisps. What are the? Yeah. Yes, that's what I want. Here we go. So what are the origins of will-o-wisps? Yeah, you didn't understand what I was saying. I absolutely am sure you didn't understand. Oh, yeah, that's that. What? I didn't say the meaning of life. Oh, did I not hit? Sorry, submit. Yeah, I'm more looking for if we can get any. This is kind of stuff, not necessarily which culture. Brian mentioned Celtic folklore, but just more like what kind of things do we have here? Oh, like a jack-o'-lantern? You see. All right, so here we go. This is what, and here's the thing, right? Because a lot of the issues with AI, given that it can munge up answers and get things wrong, give you sort of misleading or wrong information, I don't care because I'm really just looking for inspiration. So whether this stuff ends up being factually correct in terms of the historical origins of will-o-wisps, I don't care. I'm just looking for give me some fodder for my brain. My brain needs fuel. Can you give some fuel? Magnus says the problem is almost every core race or monster in D&D could arguably be classified as fairy and folklore. Yes, I think what you end up having to do, Magnus, you just have to make out of making your own lines. Like for me, the kind of Fae covers everything. So everything, almost everything non-human. There's a couple of exceptions, but basically all the stuff that is goblinoid is Fae in the reckoning that I've been using. All the goblin stuff, all the elf stuff, fairies, will-o-wisps, all that stuff is Fae. That Fae, in a sense, fairy is the origins of all the kind of weird, or almost all the weirdness kind of stuff that then ends up, either accidentally or purposefully entering the prime material plane kind of thing. Ryzen wants to get Halloweeny with the jack-o'-lantern. Well, let's give it a read. See what did Bing's flavor of chat AI come up with? In folklore, will-o-wisp is an atmospheric ghost light seen by travelers at night, especially over bogs, swamps, or marshes. The phenomenon is known in much of European folklore by a variety of names, including jack-o'-lantern, friar's lantern, and hinky-punk. That's a good one. And is said to mislead travelers by resembling a flickering lamp or lantern. I have to use hinky-punk I mean, brilliant. The term will-o-wisp comes from wisp, a bundle of sticks or paper sometimes used as a torch, and the name will, thus meaning will of the torch. In literature, will of the wisp metaphorically refers to hope, a hope or goal that leads one on but is impossible to reach, or something one finds strange or sinister. Well, gee, there's two sides of the same coin: hope or strange and sinister. In folklore, will-o-wisps are typically attributed as ghosts, fairies, or elemental spirits. Modern science explains the light aspect as natural phenomena such as bioluminescence or chemiluminescence caused by the oxidation of phosphine, diphosphine, and methane produced by organic decay. The origins of will-o-wisps are not clear. The term is not attested in antiquity, and the name for the will-o-wisp used by the ancient Romans is uncertain. I don't know why Rome has supremacy here, but anyway. The term is not attested in the Middle Ages either. Instead, the Latin ignis fatuus, documented no earlier than the 16th century in Germany, where it was coined by a German humanist and appears to be a free translation of the long-existing German name Irrlicht, wandering light or deceiving light, conceived of in German folklore as a mischievous spirit of nature. The Latin translation was made to lend the German name intellectual credibility. Aha. Yeah. Cyberpunk out, hinky punk in. All right. Magnus says, I like to treat the Fae with a juxtaposition of whimsy, pixies, and minor ghosts and such, and eldritch horror, demigod deer, and the like. Ooh, I like demigod deer. I think that's a good way to do it. I feel like, and this is one reason why I enjoy, one of the reasons why I do find myself enjoying human-only campaigns, is that you can really play with the weirdness of fairy or fae, which is, I find it hard when you have one of the players who's doing it, because I don't want to take away, I don't want to either one, where I have this idea and the player has a very different idea, and then we're trampling over each other. But I also don't want to take away their sense of creativity and agency with their character by putting a bunch of like, no, you have to read my tome on how fairy is. Plus, I just don't think you can get that weird. I think when a player is playing, I just feel like it's inevitable. And I don't even use a player. I include myself in this. If you can feign weirdness by having actually having things not fit exactly, or having things be a bit nonsensical or not fitting, almost going a little bit of gonzo in certain directions, can actually make things seem weird, because I think as people, or brains will try to attribute higher causes to it, even though it's a little bit of randomness thrown in there. I don't think you can mimic that when a player is trying to play it, because you're not trying to play someone who's like a Looney Tune or who's weird or whatever. So, you're going to give it more structure maybe than you want to, if that makes sense. So, all right. So I like the idea of the jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to call it a hinky punk, but I'm going to go with kind of a skull shape. So let's go back here. All right, we're going to call it the hinky punk. Now here's the thing. So Magnus says it's fun to frolic with the wisps, but be careful you don't stumble into the realm of Cernunos, the horn god. No, you don't want to stumble. Do not want to stumble there. All right, so let's we'll make this a heading. Sure. Now this is going to be, here we go. Well, Frederick's not here anymore, but I'm going to make this neutral. It's funny because this is going to be kind of a skull. Neutral skull shaped. It's kind of funny because it's kind of the general structure is going to be like the candle, because it's going to hold this wispy thing. All right. Skull shaped. I guess it is a lantern. Sorry, it's a lantern. It is neutral. Intelligence. I got to give at least 7. Ego 3. I'm gonna say this does not. Maybe I'll put a note in because here's where I'm going with this. I haven't really said it. So I really like this idea of where's the thing here? So I appreciate from the Bing chat. Maybe I should just try to copy this whole thing. Can I? Will it let me? There we go. Okay, cool. So great, and I got the sources down there. So what I like about this, here's what I'm thinking. Let me see if I can say this correctly. Here's what I'm thinking. I like that there are these 2 sides to it. One, it's said to be either where is it? Here we go. Hope that that leads you on, or something hope or something sinister. So what can we do with that? So I'll make the item neutral, but it's going to have this kind of weal or woe sort of thing that you has to be at night. Once per night, you can have the light go out and you could follow it. But behind the screen, we're going to roll a D6, D4, whatever. And there's a 50-50 chance it's either going to lead you in a positive way towards your goal or lead you in a negative way towards your goal. And you're not going to know. I have no idea who this would belong to. I have no idea who would really want to have it. I suppose in desperation, if you're stuck, you can throw it out there and maybe you think, hey, look, I have nowhere else to go. I guess it's a good object of last resort. And yes, as Brian says, for the table, for the game, something fun's going to happen. Either you're going to get pushed forward, or you're at least going to get pushed into something. But maybe it makes a good item of last resort. Like, man, we are stuck. I don't know what to do, but we can pull this thing out at night, do something. Yeah, you're lost in the forest. It's either going to lead you to the lair of a dragon or something, or it's going to maybe take you to the woodcutter's cabin that you can get, whatever. So we're going to what is what's the what's a good word here for this? I mean, I guess I'll just put wheel or woe, but it's not, and I've used wheel or woe for something else, and I'll write it up. But so I'm just gonna, for now, once per night, the bearer of the Hinky Punk can summon forth the flame spirit and ask it for guidance towards a destination. There is a 50% chance that the spirit will lead true. Otherwise, it will lead the bearer towards some let's see, sinister or mischievous. Did I spell that correctly? I did not. Mischievous chase. Brian says, I feel like it should be small so you could pull it out of your pocket, half forgetting you had it for a last resort. Maybe a shriveled apple version of a jack-o'-lantern. Oh, interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. Nice. Yeah. I went the wrong. Let's see. I like that. Okay. Yeah. A neutral skull-shaped charm. Let's see. I'll just write it here. The Hinky Punk is a small skull-shaped charm made from the shriveled but preserved pumpkin carved into a jack-o'-lantern. Within the pumpkin is bound a small, what do they call it? A flame. I'll call it a flame sprite. Let's change it from spirit to sprite. That gives it, even enhances the faintness of it all. Okay, the Hinky Punk is a small skull-shaped charm made from a shriveled but preserved pumpkin. Oh, lantern. Or maybe I should just say jack-o'-lantern. Preserved pumpkin. Maybe I'll just... From a tiny, shriveled yet preserved, shriveled but preserved pumpkin. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Within the pumpkin is bound a small flame sprite. Brian says it gives him over the garden wall vibes. Yeah, I think it could fit in a lot of different things, actually. But yeah, I could see that. And I love that name, the Hinky Punk. That's great. I think that's all I need for that one. I just like having the backstory there that I can pull later. Get rid of some of these extra returns. Okay, so we got the divine. Let's see. Did I come up? Yep, I got all that stuff. I'll have to change this. Come up with something else for Wheel or Woe, because it's not really Wheel or Woe. And then we got maybe we can get one more in here. Maybe. And we got, now they didn't call it on the list, calls it fungi, boon or bane. Yeah, that's another good one. I want to see if I can find something. Maybe I'll just make up my own that's more the journey part. The boon or bane seems to be like I'm giving you something. Like, but this is more like I'm leading you towards something. I'm not sure. I got to think about it. But yeah, that's not bad either. Okay. So on the picture it says fungi. And I guess maybe they mean, is fungi a word? Let me just make sure that I'm not. Oh, ruin or reward. That's a good one. I was thinking of something with folly. Okay, so that probably means ruin. Just see. Is there anything with an F? I kind of liked folly, but no, there isn't. All right. Magnus likes Wheeler Woe. Yeah, but Magnus, the problem is that there's already a spell called Wheeler Woe. And then just for myself, I already literally used Wheeler Woe in another weapon description. So I'm a little bit trying to avoid doubling. And because that one works more like the Wheeler Woe of the spell Wheeler Woe, I don't want to use this one in a way that's completely different. Fame or Folly. I like Ruin or Reward. I think I'll just go with Ruin or Reward for now. Thanks, Brian. I might, as usual, I might, I'll call it Reward or Ruin. I might. All right, so now we need something fungal. We need something fungal. What can we do with fungal? The other thing too is because somebody pointed out, like, when I was yesterday when I was struggling with Primeval, was like giving me all kinds of cool stuff, but they were very cool ideas, but not what I'm looking for right now. In other words, I'm not trying to go nutty into and then before the Diamonds of Atlantis and was really like sci-fi or all kinds of kind of crazy stuff. Like I'm these are very kind of tamped down in terms of craziness. So like I'm not trying to do like armies of mushroom men in the Underdark that are right. Like I'm just not there. My implied setting, it's not, it doesn't quite fit. So whereas on another occasion, I might be totally into having something like Myconid powers activate. I'm not trying to do that here, but that's my problem, if you will, my hurdle to overcome. It's not anything inherent in the challenge or anything like that. Oh, obviously a fungal umbrella. Indeed. What kind of stuff? All right, let's go. Let's see. What are some legends around mushrooms? Probably not really, though. Not exactly. Magnus is a fungus that can quickly decompose an item and later reform it. Interesting. Magical powers that can grant wishes or immortality. Warnings against eating certain types. Yeah, well, toxicity and supernatural property. Oh, shape-shifting. I just did shape-shifting. I don't want to do another one right yet. Many cultures, mushrooms are believed to have mysterious powers. In ancient Greek and Roman mythology, mushrooms were attributed as gifts from the gods and goddesses. Straight from the pages of Fungi Magazine, fungimagazine.com, your center for all things fungal. The ancient Egyptians believed that mushrooms had a special connection with the gods and that wild mushrooms were the sons of the gods sent to earth by lightning. Oh, only the pharaohs were therefore allowed to eat them. I'm going to let's take a look at that. Raining outside? It is raining outside. Let me know if you're hearing any of that rain or... Oh, it's not. No, it is raining, but it's somebody moving a supermarket cart down the street is what's clattering around. Okay. Mysterious ancient mushrooms and myths and legends, sacred, feared, and worshipped among ancient civilizations. Ryan says it starts growing patches wherever the arrow lands. Oh, like a mushroom arrow? Stalk of mushrooms? But what end would that be? What would be the usefulness? That's useful to the mushroom. I don't know if that's useful to the person using the mushroom. Let's see. Okay, so according to, I'm just going to kind of scan this. So apologies if I'm not making much sense. According to a researcher, the word mushroom goes back centuries and was never precisely defined. The term mushroom and its variations may have been derived from the French word mousseron in reference to moss, aka mousse. Mushrooms are classified as plants, but they do not have chlorophyll. All right, yeah, I know about chlorophyll. Thank you. Not interested in that part. Here we go. Ancient Egyptians believed there was a special connection between mushrooms and gods. Ancient Egyptians said while mushrooms were the sons of the gods sent to earth by lightning, only the pharaohs were therefore allowed to eat them. Okay. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics or hieroglyphs reveal that pharaohs thought mushrooms were sacred herbs you consume to become immortal. Well, there you go. That's what I'm going to use. I think I'm going to just do something simple like that. Launch into a besieged fort, causing hallucinations. Assuming they just don't pluck it out of the water source, I suppose, and you can aim it into the water source. That's got to be a pretty precise shot. You're going to aim your arrow over the walls into a well, which is presumably not covered. That's quite a shot there, Brian. I like the thought. That's something I can see in the game coming up where players are like, yeah, we're going to shoot this poison into their water source. And all right. I'm like, yeah, great. So you're outside the walls. Yeah. You've got one arrow. Yeah. And you're going to shoot over the walls. Yeah. Into the one well. Yeah. And you're going to hope it's not covered. Yeah. And the top of the well, the hole is only, 2 feet across. Yeah. And it's going to go down. It's going to hit the water. It's not. Yeah. Then wait a minute. Maybe we should come up with another plan. As Brian says, right through the exhaust port, no bigger than a womp rat. Yep, pretty much. Except he could at least see it, though I guess he chose not to see it. You're launching it over the walls. You don't even get to put the visor down and see the hole. All right, I think I'm going to go simple here. I'm going to go simple. I'm a simple man with simple things. I'm just going to call it the, I don't know. I'm going to have to come up with a different name. Yeah, neutral. Neutral mangus fungus. So this is not int 0. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, no, I'm going to hold on a minute. This might be think of 7. All right. This is starting to get fleshed out here. Okay, so it's a neutral fungus. Okay, it's got that. It's going to communicate through empathy, as almost everything I've been doing is doing. And then the power. Let's see the official spell. It's not immortality, but it'll give you. Is it reincarnation? No, reincarnation. What do we want? What would be? I don't want immortality. I don't want immortality. But what I'm looking in expert set here for what spell might be close. Because here's one of the things I was thinking, like, well, it could be like a reincarnation type thing, bring you back from the dead. Or I don't want it to be something where it makes you like invulnerable or immortal, but I do like the ability or the idea that it gives you some kind of really strong regenerative type effect. Not like it gives you regeneration as a power, but does something like that, restoration or something. But that there's a chance that it will. You have to fight with that, or it might take over. But I'm trying to see if any of these spells give me some idea. I might need to do more research, and I'm cognizant that we're at the hour already. But so there's reincarnation. Certainly could be. Okay, I'm just going to go to that. Let's run through. Let's run through here some of these spells. Okay, so I'm looking at the expert set, and I know I can go further afield for spells or just come away. I'm just trying to get a sense. So 5th level cleric spells, we've got commune, create food, dispel evil, insect, plague, quest, or raise dead. So raise dead is potential. What does raised dead say? It might be that we're between raised dead and reincarnation. I kind of like reincarnation for the chance to be anything. Oops, where did I go? Oh, say raise dead. By means of the spell, the cleric can raise any human, dwarf, halfling, or elf from the dead. An 8th level cleric can raise a body up to 4 days dead. For each level the cleric is above 8th, 4 days are added to this time, which is pretty cool. Raised dead. A raised character has 1 hit point, cannot fight, cast spells, use abilities, carry heavy loads, or move more than half speed. Okay, that's just the after effects. And the reverse of the spell is Finger of Death. So that's raised dead. Now, if we go to reincarnation, it's a little bit more fun. This spell brings a dead character back to life in a new body, which magically appears in front of the magic user casting the spell. The DM should roll on the reincarnation table to determine if the character returns as a character class or a monster, and then we've got this whole thing. I think I'm going to use reincarnation, but I'm going to change it slightly different. We're going to do it up here. So someone had mentioned that the mushroom mushroom kind of replaces it, and I'm going to use that thing, right? It sort of disintegrates or consumes an object and then replaces it. This is what this is going to do. I don't know. I'm not going to call it. I'll call it revivification right now. I'm not sure what the right word I want, but I just need to get something down so I don't get stuck on it. All right, so here it goes. Plant the mushroom within the corpse of a creature not dead for more than 1 week. Over the course of a month, the mushroom will consume the body and sit with a new one per the spell reincarnation. Let's see. Once the new body is finished, the mushroom dies. The original creature's spirit must compete with the mushroom for control of the new host. Something like this. So you can plant the mushroom within the corpse of a creature. Can't be dead for more than a week. But that actually gives you quite a bit of time, I think. And then over the course of a month, the mushroom will consume the body and then replace it with a new one. And then once the new one is finished, though, the person's spirit can try to come back and inhabit this new body. But this is where that intelligence and ego comes in. The mushroom itself is dies, but then this new host, it's going to try to move in there. So you can end up with your buddy back or some kind of mushroom horror kind of thing. I'm going to come up with a new name because the mushroom of immortality sounds terrible. Terrible. But I'll come back. Francis is hoping. Hopefully somebody doesn't accidentally bury you. This is true. Though I suppose if it comes back as a mushroom creature, maybe the not having oxygen won't hurt it so much. I'm not sure. All right, cool, folks. So, man, we did 3 and 3. So we got these lawful circlet that gives you the powers to detect evil and protection from evil. But to get the protection from evil, you have to be at least level 4 hit dice or levels. And then it extends out to 10 feet per level the wearer, and it lasts for 10 minutes and recharges when the circle is exposed to the noontide sun. We got the Hinky Punk, which I really like, a skull-shaped charm that once per night you can ask it to either guide you towards a reward or towards ruin. You won't know which, but you'll get going one way or the other. And then finally the some kind of reincarnating mushroom. I don't know, whatever. Reincarnating mushroom, though it takes a month, so it's going to be kind of a downtime deal. And then on top of it, at the end of it all, either you come back or some kind of mushroom horror comes back in your place. You must decide. All right, folks, I'm going to jet. Have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching, listen to this. If you're taking part in Swordtember, please share it. I have been posting some things in the forums, and also I think once per week I've been posting stuff for like today for Work in Progress Wednesday, and then all this stuff is going to patrons and channel members. If that interests you, everybody, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.